Oppo F19 Pro Plus 5G hands-on review. But before we start, please support us by pressing the like and subscribe buttons, so that we can continue to provide the latest information about gadgets and technology. Also turn on the bell button to get the latest updates. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you. Oppo's release schedule for its F series is all over the place, so, in less than a year, we now get the Oppo F19 Pro Duo. He won in the spotlight right now as the beefier Plus model. It features a more powerful chipset, a slightly better build and faster charging than its more affordable non-Plus sibling. A quick skim through the specs sheet reveals a rather balanced hardware lead by the Dimensity 800U 5G and a bright, Super AMOLED display. The battery seems to be dragging behind by today's standards, and the fact that the panel caps at 60 Hz might sway away some potential buyers. Hopefully, the 50 watts fast charging can compensate for the low capacity of the cell to some extent. Oppo F19 Pro Plus 5G specs at a glance. Body, 160.1 by 73.4 by 7. 8mm, 173 grams, Gorilla Glass 5 front, glass back, plastic frame. Display, 6.43 inches Super AMOLED, 430 nits, TUP, 800 nits, peak, 1080 by 2400 px resolution, 20:9 aspect ratio, 409p. Chipset, MediaTek MT6853 Dimensity 800U 5G, 7nm, octa-core, 2x2. 4 GHz Cortex A76 and 6x2. 0 GHz Cortex A55, Mali G57 MC3. Memory, 128 GB, 8 GB RAM, UFS 2.1, microSD-XC, dedicated slot. OS/software, Android 11, Color OS 11.1. Rear camera, wide, main, 48MP, f/1.7, 25mm, f/0, 0.8 micrometers, PAF, ultra wide angle, 8MP, f/2.2, 16mm, 119, 1/4.0, 1.12 micrometers, macro, 2MP, f/2.4, depth, 2MP, f/2.4. Front camera, 16MP, f/2.4, 26mm, wide, 1/3.09, 1.0 micrometers. Video capture, rear camera, 4K at 30 fps, 1080p at 30/120 fps, gyro ICE, HDR, front camera, 1080p at 30 fps. Battery, 4310 mAh, fast charging 50 watts, 100% in 48 minutes, advertised. Miscellaneous, fingerprint reader, under display, optical, 3.5mm jack. But as it's usually the case with Oppo smartphones, the price tag will be the biggest challenge. Currently starting at around 25,990 Indian rupees, the phone has quite a bit of competition from Xiaomi and Realme, with both companies offering competitive and arguably better models at lower prices. People say that the devil is in the details, and we tend to agree. That's why we spent some time with the F19 Pro Plus 5G to see how it feels in person. It's not always about the specs. For instance, Oppo is particularly proud of the F19 Pro Plus 5G's design and ergonomics. Even though the design doesn't seem to be something out of the ordinary, the chassis is just 173 grams, and it's just 7.8mm thick. The small 6.43-inch display just adds to the overall appeal in terms of portability. Unboxing the Oppo F19 Pro Plus 5G. The handset comes in a standard box with the usual user manuals, a 65 watts compatible wall charger. The phone supports up to 50 watts, USB-A to USB-C cable, a protective case and a pair of earphones. Design and handling. As we already mentioned on the previous page, the F19 Pro Plus 5G is one of the compact solutions on the mid-range market. That's actually pretty rare these days. Tipping this scale at just 173 grams and measuring just 7.8mm in thickness, you've probably already guessed that it's a pleasure to use with one hand. The 6.43-inch display also helps, of course. Sadly, only the front panel is protected by Gorilla Glass 5. It not only feels nice, but it also looks nice. The space silver color we received will appeal to people looking for a more minimalist, premium-like design. No shifting colors, just matte reflection. The finish of the back panel is silky to touch without allowing too many smudges to stick, which was a nice surprise. The glossy frame of the phone, on the other hand, is a fingerprint magnet. The power button and the volume keys have nice, clicky feedback and are easy to reach with your thumbs, which is rather expected given the size of the handset. The fingerprint reader, which is placed under the display, is a bit tricky, though. We felt it to be a bit lower than it should, but the good news is that it works very well. It's snappy and accurate. We can't shake the notion of awkwardness when we look at the camera design on the back, though. The module itself is fine, and you could say it's in line with the modern aesthetics, but it protrudes more than it should. Perhaps the slim profile of the phone didn't allow the designers to reduce the bump. Even the provided case doesn't help, and when placed on a flat surface, it wobbles. Oppo promises a bright and crisp 1080 by 2400 px Super AMOLED display. And by the looks of it, the screen is indeed bright enough for outdoor use. When set to auto mode, it's supposed to peak at 800 nits. The display also supports HDR10, HLG codecs, and there is Widevine L1 certification for full HD streaming on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Our only complaint would be the 60Hz refresh rate. While competitors are offering up to 120Hz for the same or lower prices, the F19 Pro plus 5G fades. Take the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, for example. It has a stunning, just as bright 120Hz OLED panel and sells for around 19,000 Indian rupees. However, HRR might not be on top of your priority list because, let's face it, the HRR support of games on Google's Play Store is a Wild West. MediaTek's Dimensity 800U 5G SoC is in charge of rendering those pixels, which is a big step up from the Helio P95 found on the non-Plus model. The Dimensity 800U allows for 5G connectivity at a lower price point. Then again, 5G isn't really widely available in India anyway, and it won't be for some time. That's why it shouldn't be a deciding factor when you are choosing your next phone. We will take a closer look at its performance in the next section. Spoiler alert, the CPU department shows solid performance, the GPU is just okay. Camera-wise, the phone offers pretty much what all competitors do, a main camera joined by an ultra-wide snapper and two more shooters for depth sensing and macro photography. The main camera here is a 48MP f/1.7 unit, while the ultra-wide uses the popular 8MP sensor paired with f/2.2 lens. The macro and depth cams are both 2MP. Once again, the main camera drags behind the competition as the 48MP sensor isn't only dated, but it has also found its way into the low-end segment of the market. The Redmi Note 10 Pro Max and the Realme 8 Pro both boast the 108MP sensor, while other rivals have the 64MP unit at the very least. A 4310 mAh battery keeps the lights on, supporting fast 50 watts flash charge. Our test confirmed that it can go from 0 to 60% in 30 minutes, while a full charge takes just 4 minutes shy of an hour. A rough estimate of the runtime would be a full day on Wi-Fi, and if you use the phone on a cellular most of the time, it could be less. It's still user dependent. Performance. It's needless to say that the day-to-day performance of the handset is great. No stuttering or hiccups, not that we expected them. The MediaTek Dimensity 800U 5G employs 2x higher clocked Cortex-A76 cores at 2.4 GHz and 6x Cortex-A55 ticking at 2.0 GHz. The Mali G57MC3 GPU takes care of the graphically intensive tasks. The whole chip is based on the 7nm manufacturing process too.
Thanks for watching. Drop a like, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.